a 10,000-volt hot tub, a boyfriend-murdering go-go dancer, and one state prison employee with an electric personality. What's up, horror freaks? Welcome to the Emporium of Dread. I'm your undead horror guide, Bone Stiff, and today we're taking a trip down horror's past to revisit the classic HBO horror anthology series based on the classic EC comics of the same name, Tales from the Crypt. This is the first video in the series where I'll be individually breaking down each episode season by season. So we start off where it all began with Season 1, Episode 1, titled The Man Who Was Death. This episode is an adaptation of the story of the same name that first appeared in Crypt of Terror number 17, and tells the shocking story of a penitentiary executioner, Niles Talbot, who after the state abolishes the death penalty turns into a freelance executioner. But will fate put the switch on the man who loves to throw it? Directed by Walter Hill, who would go on to direct 2 more episodes for the series, The Man Who Was Death was co-written by Hill alongside Stephen Dodd and Robert Renew. William Sadler stars as Niles Talbot, a state prison executioner who has a shocking love for his job. Alongside Sadler, we have Roy Brocksmith, who plays Talbot's bartender Vic, there to console good old Mr. Talbot after the state shuts down his job. So grab a snack, pull the blankets tight, and turn the lights down low as we begin tonight's journey with Episode 1, The Man Who Was Death. The episode starts off with good old Charlie Ledbetter, who sits in his prison cell on death row, awaiting the guards to come take him to the electric chair. Charlie finds himself in this predicament after going all Michael Douglas, falling down on his boss and secretary after working for the office for 7 years and not getting the big raise he wanted. We then cut to William Sadler, who plays prison executor Niles Talbot, who goes all fourth wall on us, letting everyone at home know that old poor Mr. Ledbetter is going to shit himself once he pumps him full of that juice.
Thinking about that rubber diaper they give him to wear. Wondering if he's gonna crap all over himself when I juice him in a couple minutes.
We then cut to Charlie Ledbetter crying as the guards take him to see old Sparky, while Niles Talbot narrates the scene, telling us how it's always the same. All the big tough guys go down crying and screaming. As they prep Charlie for the chair, Niles Talbot lets us know he always looks at the inmate's eyes before he flips the switch.
You know, people tell me most executioners never look the prisoners in the eye, afraid they're gonna get spooked or something. Not me.
After no call from the government, old Niles flips the switch, turning poor Mr. Ledbetter into a human lightning rod. During the execution, Niles lets us know that the current moves so fast that you won't even feel a thing once you flip that switch.
Boy, I'd hate to think that was true.
We then cut to a highway overpass at night where we get some more fourth wall shit and we're officially introduced to Niles Talbot, in a scene that sounds more like an audition for a new dating show about winning a night with a prison executioner.
It's a real party, ain't it? It's big, it's dirty. I like electricity.
Talbot lets us know how he's been working for the prison as the executioner for the last 12 years after starting out working on the generators. We then cut to Niles as he sits down at the local diner to have himself a cheese sandwich and a cup of black coffee.
And other federal agencies.
Cheese sandwich, cup of coffee black.
Does the prison job not pay enough to put some damn meat on the sandwich? We then get a look at the television in the diner where the newswoman is reporting on a story about the state considering getting rid of the death penalty.
Also claim that execution is still murder in the eyes of God.
Later, back at the prison, we learn that the state has outlawed the death penalty, but Niles gets shit-canned despite being a loyal state employee. The warden doesn't want Niles working around the prisoners on the account of him being the guy who flips the switch. So later we see Niles drowning in his sorrows at a bar having a conversation with his bartender Vic, played by the late great Roy Brocksmith. Vic tells Niles it's a damn shame that the prison let him go and that the people on TV don't know shit, and that he would watch executions if they were on TV.
They put executions on TV, be the fucking highest rated show of all time.
We then cut to Niles walking the streets at night where he gives us some more fourth wall words of wisdom.
We eat shit and shit eats us.
Later, we cut to a courtroom during a murder trial for James Flood where the judge has to throw out the case due to the arrest warrant being worded wrong. Flood begins celebrating. I'm glad to see he's finally catching a break after his clothes, boots, and motorcycle were stolen.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
After Flood makes his way out of the courtroom, we pan over to Niles Talbot, who's among those observing the trial. We then get some words of wisdom from Niles about the lifestyle of bikers.
They figure they're throwbacks to real Americans.
After his little rant, Niles informs the audience that old James Flood crossed the line. Niles rigs up the biker's gate with electricity, and when Flood goes to unlock it, he's zapped like a mosquito at a 4th of July barbecue. Then we're back at the bar where Vic and Niles are watching the news talk about the death of James Flood, where they both seem pretty happy about the outcome. Then we find ourselves back in the courtroom. This time Theodore Carney and Cynthia Baldwin are just acquitted of murder of Carney's wife. Once again we see Niles in attendance. Then Niles gives us some more great words of wisdom.
I know where his head is at. We all do. Right down there between his legs.
Theodore and Cynthia, thinking they got away with the perfect crime, take a little dip in a hot tub and drink a little bubbly, but little do they know good old street vigilante Niles Talbot has rigged their hot tub with 10,000 volts, turning their sexy hot tub romp into a New England steam pot. We then cut to the newspaper headline of an exotic dancer who goes free after murdering her boyfriend. Inside the strip club, Niles gives us some quick tips on how to get the ladies.
The old rule. You treat whores like queens and queens like whores. You got no problem.
Niles rigs the cage our topless charlatan is dancing in with 10,000 volts. Just when Niles is about to give our little go-go the shocker, we see that the wires have been cut and the cops bust in, catching Talbot in the act. Back at the police station, Niles learns from the detective that the state has reinstated the death penalty and Mr. Talbot won't be the one pulling the switch this time.
Since you're such a staunch supporter of capital punishment, you'll be glad to know the state legislature has just reinstated the death penalty. And guess who's not pulling the switch this time?
We then see Niles being walked to the electric chair where he begins begging and pleading before meeting his grisly fate.
I like electricity.